1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. That statistic is terrifying. Despite the efforts of many dedicated individuals, services are still falling short. Between 2016 and 2017, there was a 45% increase in unmet services for domestic violence victims in New York State. We have to do better.
The domestic violence issue has gotten much more sophisticated in that technology has changed the way things are treated. We also looked at the laws, we looked at the counselors, we looked at the training for police officers and courts. We looked at all those things, we reviewed it, we listened to these people from across the state of New York. Some of them are here today, and I'll add to what we have to say. But what we identified was pretty much what we already knew. The problem is serious and the problem is growing. So we thought that this was the time to get out there and listen. We did. We have now come up with a bunch of proposals that affect all aspects of this multifaceted problem. We're very pleased with what we have to offer. We look forward to hopefully implementing it, working with the other side of the aisle, working with the Senate and the governor to get these changes made.
I had a young lady who called me when it was in the paper that we were holding this task force meeting, and she wanted to meet with me individually. She'd never talked to anyone else about what she had been through. Domestic violence also can be from generation to generation. It can be brand new to you. In any event, it's a very, very difficult and trying time in an individual's life. This lady came to my office and said, "I've never told this to anyone else before. When I was growing up, my mom and dad were very abusive to each other. All the way through when I was up to the age of 17, when I left to get married. I got married, and the individual I married was abusive to me both physically and emotionally every day that we were married. We had a child. That child saw the domestic abuse that was going on, and I got divorced. I fell in love with another individual, but because of my experiences growing up, and because of what I had gone through in my first marriage with my child, I didn't get married. I lived with him for 10 years. We had a child after living together 7 years. And after 10 years, I said, "I will marry you." "How long do you think it took," she said to me, "before things changed?" Less than 24 hours. She became another abused woman.
Some of the recommendations of the report include declaring domestic violence a statewide public health crisis, creation of a new law, which would be domestic violence in the presence of a child, providing financial relief to domestic violence victims who are living in a shelter or elsewhere in order to escape their abuser, and allowing victims to receive an emergency panic button to be used when they feel threatened by a partner as part of an order of protection.
Individual communities know one of the most difficult is placing victims of domestic violence in housing for their protection and for their children. Coming out of this report is the need for funding to fund these type of safe houses. Just about every city has a safe house, and most cab drivers know where to bring the individuals. They are secure, but there is not enough of them. Studies have shown that children, infants as young as 2 months old, who grow up in an environment of domestic violence will never attain their true potential. They will not develop psychologically, physically, and mentally. And as they grow older, they are more likely to be perpetrators of domestic violence.
We do have some safe havens that are available, but we do need more. We need to remove as many barriers that are preventing people from seeking help. That could be allowing for more housing to invite women with their children to be able to be included in a housing option, because many times somebody will not go and seek treatment if they need to leave their, or safety if they need to leave their children behind. It even has a section talking about pets. Family pets can be used a lot of times as a symbol of the anger that the intimate partner feels against the victim, and sometimes the pet is injured and the victim doesn't want to leave if they have to leave that pet behind. Removing any kind of barriers that we can to allow people to step forward and seek treatment is so important.
We work collaboratively with the organizations that provide services, and whether it be for shelter, whether it be supportive counseling measures, whether it be in support of the victims and the needs that they have moving forward, those organizations are entities that really continue to be the backbone of what helps in prosecuting and seeking justice for individuals who are involved in domestic violence cases.
When we see victims first walk in, they've had probably 15 minutes to leave their house, and they grab a garbage bag and they fill it. And if you had that moment come upon you where you had to decide in 15 minutes what you're going to take with you, and show up on the steps of the YWCA with your garbage bag and or your children and possibly your pet, and then you are then barraged with questions about why you need help, what you're here for. We're providing support at the YWCA, but you're scared. And you're not sure if you made the right decision, because going back, you know what's back there. Moving forward, you're not sure what's coming upon you. How many people will you need to interface with? It is key that this information that we are working on and working towards actually becomes a reality for victims. They need to see that there is strength in numbers, that there is support from our assemblymen, from everyone that is in our community that supports this cause.